Hi, passionate Rangers FC fans. Welcome to Rangers Update, your dedicated source for all things Rangers. Before we dive in, we want to express our gratitude for your unwavering support. If you bleed blue, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and let's strengthen our community. Now, let's get into the latest updates. A hearty welcome to our new followers. Your backing means the world to us. WATP, let's get to the news. The shockwave that rippled through Scottish football didn't come via a final whistle or a packed stadium roar, but via a quiet announcement that suddenly had everybody leaning closer to their screens. Rangers, a club that lives and breathes expectation, history, and pressure, managed to catch the entire country off guard by letting it be known, in that understated yet deliberate way, that they had their eyes firmly fixed on a new attacking force. Whispers started instantly, and before long one name was on everybody's lips, spoken half in excitement and half in disbelief. Tommy Conway was suddenly being framed as the next great fear for defenses across the league. The narrative didn't explode because of numbers on a scoreboard, but because of what people think this could mean. Supporters started imagining movement, aggression, and that raw hunger up front that is felt just out of reach. Pundits leaned back in their chairs, smiling knowingly, talking about profiles, about systems, about what happens when a forward who thrives on chaos is dropped into a side built on control. This didn't feel like a normal signing rumor. It felt like Rangers sending a message without shouting, letting the rest of Scotland connect the dots themselves, and maybe even letting opposition managers lose a bit of sleep. When folks started digging deeper into why this move felt different, the conversation always drifted back to style and mentality rather than stats or highlights. Conway isn't being whispered about as a polished poster boy, but as a problem. The kind of striker who doesn't politely wait between center backs, but actively hunts space, presses nerves, and turns routine defensive phases into moments of panic. Rangers fans have been crying out for that edge, that sense that defenders never get a quiet afternoon. The rumor mill suggests the club see him as someone who thrives when the tempo lifts, when the crowd gets restless, when the match becomes scrappy and emotional. That's when he comes alive, or so the whispers go. And in Scotland, where matches can turn on emotion more than elegance, that profile carries serious weight. You can almost hear the YouTube comments already. Folks saying this is the type of player you sign when you're not just thinking about the next match, but about reshaping how opponents prepare for you. The mere idea of Conway in a Rangers shirt has people picturing defenders backing off, making rushed clearances, and second-guessing every step. It's speculation, but it's the kind that feeds belief. There's also this sense that Rangers are trying to reassert something psychological, something that's maybe been dulled over time. Big clubs didn't just win games, they create fear, and fear starts long before kickoff. The chatter around Conway paints him as someone who relishes that role, who enjoys being the villain in away grounds and the relentless engine at home. Sources close to the discussion, or so the rumors claim, talk about a forward who's confident to the point of arrogance, but backs it up by relentless graft. That combination is intoxicating for a support that demands effort as much as flair. Rangers, historically, have adored strikers who make defenders suffer even on quiet days. The speculation suggests the coaching staff see Conway as someone who can stretch a back line, open pockets for midfield runners, and force teams deeper than they want to be. It's no about tap-ins or glamour moments. It's about changing the geometry of the pitch. And when folks start framing a player like that, you understand why this announcement, vague as it may be, landed like a thunderclap across the country. What really fuels the intrigue is how tight-lipped everyone involved has been. There's nay flashy unveiling, nay dramatic quotes plastered everywhere. Just enough information to let imaginations run wild. That's deliberate, if the rumors are to be believed. Rangers know exactly how their fanbase works, how quickly speculation turns into momentum. By letting Conway's name hang in the air, they've effectively invited supporters to project their hopes onto him. Some see him as the missing piece, others as a calculated gamble, but hardly anyone sees him as irrelevant. Even rival fans are weighing in, some dismissive, some quietly concerned. That's when you know a rumor has legs. It's no about certainty, it's about discomfort. The idea that Rangers might have identified a forward who thrives on physical duels, who loves chasing lost causes, who makes 90 minutes feel longer for defenders, is unsettling for the rest of the league. This is the sort of move that's discussed in dressing rooms and training grounds, where defenders ask each other what they know and whether the hype is justified. As the speculation rolls on, there's a growing belief that this is part of a broader shift in thinking at Ibrox. Rangers, according to the whispers, want to blend control while confrontation, possession while pressure. Conway fits that imagined blueprint perfectly. He's not described as a luxury player, but as a weapon. Someone you unleash when you want to tilt the balance emotionally, as well as tactically. Fans imagine him leading the line, chasing center-backs into uncomfortable zones, forcing hurried passes and second balls that ignite the crowd. It's easy to see why YouTubers and pundits are milking the narrative. This is storytelling gold. A young forward, framed as the new terror of Scottish defenses, potentially stepping into one of the most demanding shirts in the country. It's the sort of story that writes itself, even before a ball is kicked. And Rangers, whether intentionally or not, have placed themselves right at the center of it, daring everyone to wait and see. What's fascinating is how quickly this rumor has shifted expectations. Suddenly, the conversation around Rangers is less about consolidation and more about aggression, less about maintaining standards and more about imposing them. Conway's name has become shorthand for a certain attitude, a refusal to settle for control without menace. That's powerful, especially in a league where momentum and belief can swing rapidly. Even if nothing is signed, sealed, or announced beyond hushed tones, the impact is already real. Defenders are being warned, supporters are dreaming, and the club's intent is being dissected from every angle. This isn't just a transfer whisper, it's a statement wrapped in speculation. And as long as that speculation continues, Tommy Conway will remain, in the collective imagination at least, the next great problem Scottish defenses might have to solve. As the second half of this story begins to unfold in the public imagination, the focus shifts from what Rangers might gain to what everyone else fears they could lose. Control, comfort, predictability. The idea of Conway arriving is being framed as a disruption, a deliberate attempt to break patterns that opponents have grown used to. Rumors suggest Rangers have studied how teams set up against them, how defensive blocks settle into rhythm, and how too often that rhythm goes unpunished. Conway, in this narrative, is the antidote, a forward who thrives on breaking structure, on turning calm defensive sequences into frantic scrambles. It's no coincidence that the language around him is so visceral. Terror, menace, chaos. These are no tactical terms, they're emotional ones. And football in Scotland has always been as much about emotion as it is about shape and systems. The speculation paints Rangers as a club keenly aware of that, ready to weaponize it once again. There's also a sense that this rumored move speaks to a hunger within the squad itself. Players respond to competition, to new personalities that raise standards in training and push egos out of comfort zones. Conway is being talked about as someone who doesn't wait for permission to assert himself. In a Rangers dressing room, that kind of presence can be transformative or combustible, and the whispers suggest the club believes it will be the former. Teammates, so the story goes, would be forced to match his intensity or be left behind. That's a powerful internal message. Rangers didn't just want talent, they want attitude. They want players who drag the level up through sheer will. When supporters hear that, it resonates deeply with the club's identity. This is a fan base that values effort as a baseline, not a bonus. The idea that Conway embodies that ethic is why the rumor has caught fire so quickly. Opposition analysts, at least in the imagined conversations doing the rounds, are already theorizing how to deal with him. Do you sit deeper and risk inviting pressure, or step up and risk being dragged into uncomfortable battles? That's the hallmark of a forward who changes planning sessions. Even if the move remains speculative, the mental exercise has begun. Rangers being linked with such a profile forces others to adapt and advance, and that in itself is a subtle advantage. The club has always understood the power of perception. Sometimes the threat is as effective as the act itself. By allowing Conway's reputation to grow in the echo chamber of Scottish football, Rangers are, intentionally or otherwise, shaping the narrative landscape in their favor. Another layer to this story is the pressure it places on Conway himself, should the rumors solidify. Being labeled the new terror of defenses before you've even pulled on the shirt is a heavy crown. but the speculation insists that this is exactly the environment he craves. Pressure, expectation, noise. These are not burdens to him, but fuel. Rangers, with their relentless scrutiny and unforgiving spotlight, would be the ultimate proving ground. Supporters are already debating whether he has the temperament for it, whether he can handle the swing from adoration to criticism that defines life at a club like this. The fact that this debate is happening at all shows how invested people have become. This is no idle gossip anymore. It's a shared narrative unfolding in real time. As the rumor continues to simmer, it's impossible to ignore how neatly it fits into Rangers' broader mythology. The club has always celebrated figures who impose themselves physically and mentally, who make the opposition feel the weight of the badge. Conway is being framed as the next in that lineage, not because of trophies or headlines, but because of attitude. The idea that Rangers might be returning to that archetype excites older supporters and intrigues younger ones. It feels like a bridge between eras, a modern forward with an old-school edge. That blend is rare, and perhaps that's why the speculation feels so potent. It taps into nostalgia while promising something new. In the end, what makes this story compelling is not certainty, but possibility. Rangers have surprised Scotland simply by letting this idea exist. By allowing Tommy Conway to be spoken about as the next great threat, they've ignited imaginations across the country. Whether this rumor becomes reality or fades into folklore almost feels secondary at this point. The conversation it has sparked, the expectations it has shifted, and the unease it has created among rivals are already tangible. In the theater of Scottish football, sometimes the most powerful moments happen before the curtain even rises. And right now, with Conway's name echoing through forums, podcasts, and pub debates, Rangers are firmly in control of the narrative, leaving everyone else to wonder what kind of terror might be coming next. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The rumor refuses to die because it feeds into something deeper than a simple squad tweak. There's a feeling, whispered rather than declared, that this is about restoring an edge that opponents have slowly learned to live with. For years, teams have arrived believing they can weather storms, absorb pressure, and escape with their dignity intact. The suggestion that a forward like Conway could change that equation has unsettled that comfort. Supporters talk about defenders second-guessing every touch, every back pass suddenly feeling like a risk rather than a reset. That psychological shift is priceless, and it's why the speculation keeps growing legs. Even without confirmation, the idea alone forces a reaction. It forces managers to rethink, fans to anticipate, and pundits to fill hours of airtime imagining scenarios. That's power. It's the kind of power that big clubs crave, because it places them back at the center of everyone's thinking. You can sense a quiet confidence in how the story has been allowed to breathe, as if those inside the club are content watching the rest of the league tie itself in knots over possibilities. In that sense, the rumor has already done its job. What also adds fuel to the fire is how neatly this imagined move aligns with the demands of the modern game, while still respecting the brutality of the local one. Scottish football doesn't forgive passengers, and forwards who disappear for long spells are quickly found out. Conway is being portrayed, rightly or wrongly, as the opposite of that. A constant presence, a nuisance, someone who turns even the simplest defensive task into a contest. That's why fans are so quick to buy into the narrative. They're no being sold dreams of elegance, but promises of confrontation. In a stadium where effort is applauded as loudly as skill, that matters. The speculation suggests a player who would lean into that atmosphere, who would thrive off groans from opposition fans and roars from his own. That's intoxicating. It creates a bond before anything tangible even happens. And once that bond forms, it's hard to break, which is why this rumor feels less like idle chatter and more like the early chapters of a story people want to believe in. Ultimately, this whole saga highlights how football narratives are built long before reality catches up. A name, a whisper, a carefully timed announcement, and suddenly an entire ecosystem starts spinning. Right now, that ecosystem is alive with anticipation, suspicion, hope, and anxiety, all orbiting around the same idea. Rangers, by simply allowing this possibility to exist, have reminded everyone how quickly momentum can be generated off the pitch. The rest of the league is watching, listening, and speculating, unsure whether to laugh it off or prepare for impact. And that uncertainty is the real victory so far. Because in football, fear and belief often arrive well before results do. As long as this rumor continues to simmer, it will keep shaping conversations, expectations, and emotions. And in a game driven as much by stories as by performances, that might be the most dangerous thing of all. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.